Okay, so here's number one. I agree that lobbying generally is bad. I'm not here for NGOs. I don't think anyone really is. I mean, and the whole point of why we don't like them is because we want to be represented by our legislators fairly and accurately, and we don't want it to be in the control of a private interest group.
So lobbying's bad?
Yes, generally, okay. I think that lobbyists and NGOs are not
bad.
Good. But what I don't understand is, if that's the issue, why not ban NGOs? Why not have a platform that's standing against NGOs and lobbyists? I think that'd be something great.
Yeah, so
if you did that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so this is a great question, but here's the problem, right? Yeah. This is the leverage of tribalism and why you can't really do that. So on social issues, right, there are NGOs out there, for instance, who have a vested interest in abortions being legal, right? This goes out into the social ethos, and now we're battling over the social issue. We have become tribal. Right? We become tribal. Then you have NGOs who battle against it, let's say, this social issue. They also are making a ton of money off of the counter battle, let's say, also utilizing political tribalism. The whole idea here is divisive tribalism is what enables NGOs to begin with. They make a ton of money off of it, especially off of race hustling and DEI.
So then again, why not just ban NGOs and lobbyists
and
you can't allow everyone to still have a vote in a representative
I'm giving
democracy?
you the descriptor.
I think it's hilarious that you keep calling democracy tribalism.
It leads to tribalism, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean...
Full democracy leads to tribalism.
So
There's no way around it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so does sports, sure.
So should we ban sports?
No, why would you ban sports? That's a total non sequitur. It makes no sense.
Actually, it does. I mean, the same way they use these companies and emotions to convince voters that way, they will use things like the NFL, sports, NBA, all these things, superstars, pop stars. They use them the same way. I mean, if you don't eliminate that, where are you getting to? You're not really solving the problem at all. I think she is right. You need to come at these big companies in a certain way, or else nothing changes. Like Andrew's plan wouldn't change anything because the companies are just going to take advantage of it. What do you think? They're stupid? They've been planning this stuff for a long time. They're profiting. You think they're going to lose money because of Andrew's little plan?
Why would you ban a huge percentage of the population from voting?
Because I would want to avoid political tribalism so that elitists can't exploit low information voters, which they do right now, in order to enslave the planet.
So you're basically saying that people are too stupid to have the right to vote?
Yes.
That's dumb, dude.
Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, of course I think people are stupid.
Well, then what are you arguing with me about?
Because if I want a right to vote, then I should give them the right to vote.
Why? But listen, think about what you just said. Yeah, dude, I agree that people are too stupid to vote, but give them the right to vote anyway.
I don't think people are too stupid to vote.
Why? So they're too stupid to function, but they're smart enough.
Oh, come
on. You think that people who go and generally cast a ballot are high information voters, or they barely even know what the hell they're talking about?
I mean, do you have a statistic on how many of them are?
Yeah, you could do street polls. A lot of people have no idea what's even going on with the issues. A lot of people are just bused to poll booths. They get bribed to do it. This happens on both sides of the aisle. Like, how many times have you seen canvassing campaigns who go out there and they're canvassing, they knock on doors, that people don't even know what the hell they're talking about?
So what, you think we should do an IQ test for everyone to have the right to vote?
That's been suggested, right? But I have a better plan than an IQ test. I would not disenfranchise a person from being able to vote because they have like an average IQ.
Yeah.
What I would do is disenfranchise a person to vote if they were low information. One way I could find out if they were really politically motivated is if they sacrificed years of their lives to the state in order to get that right to vote.
So you want to punish people for being stupid?
No, I just don't want them to nullify well-informed votes from people who are smart and on the issues and understand the issues.
But taking away someone's vote would be punishing them in a sense.
It's not punishing them.
Yeah,
it's actually stopping them from punishing themselves and the rest of society because they're easily exploited by social elites.
That's fair. I mean, but why not then just target education? Like, why not then
we
try
spend
to fund
5% of the entire GDP of the United States on education. It's the highest anywhere in the world, and we have some of the dumbest people on planet Earth. Our literacy rate is barely... You know what the literacy rate is.
Yeah, it's garbage.
It's trash. And we spend 5%, the biggest GDP on planet Earth. We spend 5% of our GDP on education. And you think that education's going to solve the problem of the low information
Well, if the
voter?
issue is that people are stupid, help them be smarter.
There's a lot of that is a mixture of genes and environment and nourishment and all sorts of different things. It's like you can't, this whole progressive
Well, if
idea.
it's environment and nourishment,
Hang on.
then why not attack
this
those
whole
things?
stupid progressive idea of like, you can just educate people into whatever it is. It's like, no, you really can't. Like, there's a lot of people who are just going to be fucking janitors, okay? There's a lot of, okay?
All right.
There's a lot of people who are just going to be fucking janitors and who are just going to be fucking toilet bowl cleaners and who are just going to be fucking bartenders and are really not meant to build fucking rocket ships, okay?
I know, but they're still subject to laws. So they
Yeah, I
still
know,
get a
but
say.
just being
and it's
but
frustrating, but it's just a fact.
Yeah,
if I want free will and they want, and you want free will, and we deserve the right to vote, then they do too.
No, you're not eliminating free will by this.
You are,
You're
though.
protecting the rest of society from low information voters destroying their lives. Like, do you
but
really
still
think?
can't
Let me ask you
take
this.
someone else's free will
Let me ask you
because
this.
they're stupid.
If you were to, yeah, but you're not really doing that. What
You
you're
are.
doing.
A vote is an exercise
No.
in free will.
Let me ask you this: if you had to choose,
Yes.
right, for your family,
Sure.
and you knew that you could move them to a place where there was a bunch of people who were highly informed on political processes in the local community, or you can move them to a place where people didn't give a shit, right? Which place would you prefer them to be?
I would prefer them to be in the higher.
Of course,
Obviously,
right? At
yeah.
the place where the people are the most
Hold on.
informed.
Speaking of which, my mother's calling me. Here, I'm a screener. Sorry, Mom. Love you.
Now, if you were able to, if these people were able to cast votes and nullify all of the votes of you high information voters, right? Wouldn't it actually be better for them and for you to disenfranchise their voting so that you guys could actually vote on political and policy issues that made sense?
Well, I don't think that stupid people are nullifying all of the votes of smart people.
Really?
I
Think
mean,
about what you
all
just
of
said.
them.
Can you
Not
think
all
about
of
what
them.
you just? Do you
Not
think there's
all
more
of them.
stupid people or smart people?
Yep. This part of the argument's going to Andrew. We really don't need stupid people voting on certain things. Like emotionally driven people don't need to be voting because they might not even mean the things they're voting on. And this country is a lot of dumb people. I think she means well. She's trying to be nice, but it's just not what's needed in this country. Like, feelings do not run this country.
In this country, yeah, it's probably more.
Okay, so you really don't think stupid people are nullifying the votes of smart people?
On a certain level, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they still deserve free will. I can't.
They
rob
still
someone
have free will.
They don't because they're still subject to the laws of this
Voting
country.
is a privilege. If you go to Australia and you commit a crime, can you go to jail in Australia?
Yeah,
But you can't vote in Australia, right?
sure.
So do you see how that makes no sense? Like
It
what
does
you're
make
saying
sense,
makes
though.
no
If
sense.
you travel to another country and endanger people, like that's a threat.
You're not
to
even
public
endangering
safety.
people. If you're just like drunk in public, you can be arrested.
That is a threat to public safety.
No.
Public intoxication is a
Look,
threat to public
that
safety.
doesn't mean you're going to actually do anything wrong, right?
But you could.
yeah.
Drunken people are habitually
or
more
you
violent,
could break
statistically
some,
more violent.
or you could break some public ordinance, right? You could break some public ordinance you didn't know about, like you're on a beach, right?
Yeah.
And you're in your shorts, and it was supposed to be t-shirts and shorts, something like this.
Yeah, but breaking public ordinances doesn't lead to jail time.
It does if you don't pay the fine.
Well, then you should pay the fucking fine.
Well, see what I mean, though? So you are subject to those laws,
Yes.
and you are subject to imprisonment based on those laws.
You
And if
should
that's the case, you can't vote in those countries.
Okay, but you're not a citizen of that country. You're still a citizen of this country. If you were a citizen
That's my
of this
whole
country
point,
and you
though.
live here and you are subject to the
Yeah.
laws of this country for your entire life, from
Yeah.
birth to death,
Yeah.
you should have
Why do you
stake.
want dumb people to disenfranchise your well-informed vote? That makes no sense. Not only that, you say that you're actually emboldening them with their free will, right? It's like, that's so silly because ultimately, these people who are politically low information, they're so low information, you're allowing them to get taken advantage of.
Of course, I don't want dumb people to disenfranchise my vote, but I don't think that the solution to that is a one marriage voting system or you have to do public service for 5 years to have a.
Give me an alternative.
But can't dumb people do that too? Like, couldn't a dumb person just do some fucking community service for 5 years and then get paid? I mean, like, there are dumb people in the army.
Listen, I agree with you that there can be some stupid people who get through the system, but they're not going to be probably low information. You're not going to go through 5 years of civil service like that for the purpose of being able to vote and be low information, or you wouldn't do it. You have an interest. That's what the whole point is.
Well, if your housing and your food is paid for, I think there are a lot of people who would be interested in that. The Army. I mean, that's like exactly a
The
version
Army,
of civil
you have
service.
to take the Army. You have to take an ASVAB test, and you have to score X amount of a score in order to even be placed in those things.
Big dog. My boyfriend's a vet. He talks about some dumb motherfuckers in the Army.
Sure, there's dumb people in the Army.
But so they would.
But
be
to qualify for certain jobs, you can't be. And for civil service or something like this, you can do intelligence tests or things like that.
So you're basically saying there should be an IQ test, and only those who would like to be civil servants who pass that IQ test.
Well, I think
you
should probably implement an IQ test for the military too, which they do.
Yeah.
She's got you here, man. I mean, the military, like almost anybody could join the military. If it's going to be the same as that, what's going to change? I mean, we could even go as far to say if you did a program that takes 5 years to get into, most leftists who are emotionally charged will go through that program. So, I mean, you're just going to get the same people, and they can incentivize, and if the program is 5 years long, they might even be able to disqualify some people they don't want to vote, making things up like our system with felonies and these type of things. You know, I mean, it's going to be controlled. It's not just going to be some free radical experiment.
Yeah, but people say.
I mean, but they do. But they do, unless it's in wartime and they're like, okay, well, you just need a body in here, and then they'll grab anybody off the street. But yeah.
Can we ask about right now? I want to confirm that.
Of course.
Aiden, do you do IQ tests for the military?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I know guys in the Army who are like mentally.
Wait, you want boyfriend reveal?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Wait. Oh, go. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just go around that way.
Army. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, there are people who are there who are dumb. That's true, but they.
Here, baby, come here for us.
If you can,
Yeah.
just kind of like.
I've heard of that. It's called a
Crouch
Cat
right
5
here.
waiver, right? They give them a Cat 5 waiver.
I'm talking about Category 5 waivers. I'm talking about.
Can you just?
Baby, come here.
Shalom. Hi.
Not so loud.
In terms of like people in the Army and IQ tests, like I've taken the ASVAB, it is not a very difficult test, and a lot of people get their ASVABs taken for them. I knew guys in the Army who were like medically diagnosable with mental deficiencies and were still in the Army doing jobs that in theory required a certain level of mental faculty.
Sure. Yeah, the system can get gamed, but those are exceptions, not the rule.
I wouldn't really go that far, to be honest with you. And then also in terms of your...
You don't think the majority of people are stupid or in the Army are stupid, do you?
I think that there are a great number of people who join the Army because they want a place to live and food, which is the system you just described, and that's pretty much independent of intelligence.
They seem to be joining the Army based around patriotism, the
When were
ability
you
to
in the
get
Army?
paid, the ability to
When
do
were you
things
in the
like
Army
that.
again?
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
About a year. So what happened? 'Cause
Well,
actually-
it doesn't matter what happened.
Oh, but we're talking about service, man.
What about it?
So you want to disenfranchise people based on military service. I actually know why most
Why
people
would?
join the
What are
Army.
you talking about? How would I disenfranchise them based on military service?
No, you
it
said
would be
you
the
wanted to
opposite.
disenfranchise
If
those
you're
who
requiring
don't.
people to serve in
No,
the
it wouldn't
military-
require them to serve in the Army. Literally didn't say that.
I'm sorry about
All
that.
right,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, I literally didn't say that.
Thank you for your help.
I
Ella.
disagree. But thank you.
Okay.
Adjust this.
So now we've established that people in the Army can very much be stupid. So
Nobody ever disputed you can have stupid people in the Army.
okay, so again, we're trying to go
My
back.
question-
We're trying to
yeah.
figure out
So
how
let's
your
see if we
system
can't.
would work
Yeah, so
in terms of
Yeah.
those who are participating in some sort of civil service.
Yeah, so you would have
are-
some type of civil service, right? Which
Okay.
a person would participate in for at least 5 years.
5 years.
Yes, unpaid.
5?
Yes, unpaid.
That's ridiculous.
Why? Do you think that the person who participated in it for 5 years unpaid would really want to be politically informed by the end of that? Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that's
the-
5 years of not having. Like that's 5 years of like housing is paid for, food is paid
Service
for.
guarantees citizenship.
So can I ask who's paying for 5 years of millions of people participating in a civil?
Well, chances would be pretty good it wouldn't be millions, or at least not hundreds of millions of people participating in such a system.
So
It'd be
you
a
would
very
like to
low
limit the
demographic.
voting block in this country to less than? There's 430 million people in this country, and you'd like to limit it
Nah,
to less than
330 million.
Hundreds of millions.
It's 330 million in the United States, I think. 336 million or something.
Regardless, you would still like to limit it to, I misspoke, my bad, but you
Yeah.
would still like to limit it to less than, you would like to limit it to hundreds of thousands of people?
Yeah.
You think it's fair for hundreds of thousands of people to speak on behalf of 360 million people?
Do you think it's fair right now to have 100 senators do that?
No, but we still vote for the senators.
Yeah,
we
I
vote
know,
for
but
the senators,
do you
though.
really think you're getting...
They don't just
hang
walk
on.
up and say, hello,
do you,
sir, I would
do you
like to
think
be a
you're
senator.
really
Like,
getting
you're voting.
Wait, you think you're really getting political representation inside of a state like New York with 2 people?
I don't live in New York, though.
I know, but inside the state of New York, do you really think the state of New York is getting adequate political representation on Capitol Hill with 2 fucking people?
Well, that's why you have the Senate and the House, and the House. is
2
based on-
people who are your senator. You really think
Every
that
state gets 2 senators.
100 people are representing 330 million people? At the very top, it's 1 person who's representing 330 million people's
So are you
interests.
advocating that we shouldn't have government?
No,
at all?
what I'm saying to you is that, like, it's very silly for me to look at an argument like you're making and say, oh my God, 100,000 people are going to be in charge or 200,000 people are going to be in charge. Like, ultimately, 1 person's in charge.
So you're saying that
Ultimately, 1 person's in charge.
but there's still checks and balances. That 1 person isn't a king.
There
They don't
still
have
would be checks and
tyrannical
balances with
monopoly over
limited
all
voting.
Power in the guard.
There's still checks and balances with limited voting.
Yeah, but we still do not get to decide who is in our legislator. As a voting body, we do not get to decide who is in
You
the
would still
legislature.
have people from within your various communities who would be voters, and they would decide who it is that went to represent you on Capitol Hill.
That sounds very expensive and very pointless, if I'm being honest.
How is that expensive? Okay, fine.
Because you
Then
have to
if
pay
wanna-
for all their housing.
Then if you want to do that, there's another way you could do this too. If you didn't want to do like the civil service way, you could do 1 vote per household. That would limit the voting significantly. Hang on.
Okay.
And it would be not expensive at all. But
Okay.
there's even another way that you can do it on top of that.
Alrighty.
Right? But let's just start with like 1 household voting.
Okay.
Same thing.
Let's do it.
You can eliminate whatever this like perceived cost is that you have. Another thing you could do is just eliminate anybody being able to vote until they reach the same age that they could become president of the United States.
Is that not 35? Mm-hmm. So you think that everyone under 35 should lose the right to vote?
Why shouldn't everyone under 35
That
be
was the
able?
most boomer shit I've ever
Why
heard
shouldn't
in my
everybody
life.
under 35 be able to be the president of the United States?
Well, because they don't have the... But they're still...
Why? Answer the question.
Because they do not yet have the experience in politics to run an entire country.
So
but just
the- yeah,
because you can't
exactly.
okay, Andrew. But just because you can't run an entire country doesn't mean that you should still not have the right to have 1 singular vote. It's 1 vote.
What are you talking about?
Yes, you can't be the president, but you are still susceptible to the laws. You can have a kid at 35. You can have a house at 35.
So,
Like,
what does that have to do with anything? But you can't be president.
below
Can't be
35,
president. Yeah.
legislatively,
Yeah.
below 35,
Yeah.
from 18 to 34, all of these people are impacted at the same level.
No, they're not all impacted at the same level. In fact, I would say...
Can they
I
all
would
go to
say-
jail for committing a crime?
Yeah, so I would say the
Then
opposite.
yes, they're
I would
impacted
say
at the
like
same
people between the ages of 18 and like 25 are mostly living at home, right? And their parents are the ones who are mostly impacted by legislation, not them. And
That
their
sounds like a
parents...
skill issue.
And their parents should actually probably have more say than them. Their parents actually have more autonomy than they do because they're dependents on them, right? Completely dependent upon them. It's like, if I look at the trends, it seems to me like if you eliminated from 18 to 25 or from 25 to 35, if the founders didn't think you should be president of the United States till you were 35, I don't think they wanted you to vote either. And you know what? That's why it was never law. Voting
Andrew,
rights
this is
are
some
affirmed.
This is some old shit.
That's not an
dog.
argument.
This
That's
is
not an
giving-
argument.
Well, I mean, the reason why
Give
you're
me the
saying this is
argument.
because you're young, you're old. Like, you are not applicable to this law.
What did that have to do with anything?
You're trying to govern a group of people that you are not a member of.
So?
That's the issue.
So what?
Everyone should be representative government.
So how old do you think the average person who's in Congress is?
Hella old, and we
they're
hate
representing all of you. What do
and
you
I
mean?
hate that.
So you think that like 19-year-olds are going to be better governing than 60-year-olds?
No, but I don't think an 80-year-old would be a representative government.
Yeah,
I'm
but
glad Mitch McConnell's
80-year-olds are
stepping down. Too
dying in
old.
their depends. They're not governing. What do you mean?
Yes, they are.
No, they're
Sleepy
not.
Joe.
Sleepy Joe, who is in his 80s, now has cancer, and he's not president because he went off the deep end.
I know.
You're
and Trump is in his 70s, and Mitch McConnell is in his 80s.
Listen,
All of these people
your
are hella
presidents,
old.
your presidents and congressmen are running like between the late 40s to 50s to 60s. You don't really think that replacing them with 20-year-olds is a good idea, do you?
I don't-
This is one of the main problems with politics. It's a bunch of old people. I mean, I think Andrew needs to do some more research on the topic. There's way too many old people. I think we do need younger people who can better relate to the people that they're even trying to govern.
I think we should replace them with 20-year-olds, but
Why
I'd
not?
settle for
Why
a
not? Wait,
smooth
why
40.
not? Why not?
Well, they'd have to be elected first. No?
Yeah, I know, but even if they were, don't you think that would still probably not be the worst that wouldn't be a good idea?
If they were elected through a democratic representative democracy.
Don't you think they would do a
I would
worse
not have a
job,
problem
though,
with that.
than 40, 50, 60-year-olds would?
We don't know who it is. You can't just say universally, I think a 20-year-old would be worse if they are
Lord.
elected democratically.
Yeah, I think she's right again. I mean, Andrew's coming from the grounds like this system is really working that well. And we never really seen what the results of younger people in Congress would be. Maybe not 20 years old, but maybe 25 or so, maybe 30, like there's just too many old people. They don't understand the people, and that creates problems. And if you're not going to correct that, some of these people have been in Congress for 50 years. If you can't correct that, what change do you think is going to happen?
Well, why do you think our founders thought that 35 years old was the minimum?
I think the founders thought 35 should be the minimum because you need experience in government to be the head of the government.
No
which I agree
experience
with.
in government is even required to become the president of the United States. 0.
Sure.
So why this age of 35?
Well, because you have to have lived in this country for long enough to understand it on a basic level.
Because they also thought you just didn't have the requisite experience probably in life to govern at all.
That's fair. To govern the entire country, I would say that
To govern
someone under-
anybody?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Well,
I
then why
mean,
can't
why is it that they didn't let people vote? Why do you think they didn't want people to vote?
I mean, dude, they were kind of fucked up. I mean, do you really want to base all of your beliefs on the founding fathers? They owned slaves.
So?
So
The whole world owned slaves.
just because a lot of people do something doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, we were some of the first to take people out of slavery, especially the West.
Pretty sure that was England. France did it second.
The West, then?
That's
The West. England.
That's not America.
That's the West, which is what I said. The
But do you know
West.
the difference? You said we were the first as in America.
The
no?
West is
Oh.
what I said.
I
The
mean, I don't
West.
think we're the same country as England. Sure, we're
Yeah,
all
but
in
we're
the same
part of the
hemisphere.
West, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
England.
We are not run by the same government as England.
Yeah,
We
but
fought a whole
but
war
we're
about
part
it.
of the West, and I said the West is the ones who.
You can't
took
take
us-
credit for something another country did, dog.
Well, first of all, many of the people who came here from England, right? The idea of the repudiation of slavery came from those very same dogmas.
What time
so,
is it, Brian, by
so
the
I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
at 4:30. at the
We're at
moment.
4. Okay, dude, you've just spent the last hour trying to defend the belief that both sexes should be somehow disenfranchised from voting. This whole one per household, the one marriage system, and I think fundamentally you have not been able to create an appeal to
Why
how
are we
this
in
would
like
work
closing
practically.
statements here?
Well, because we're supposed to be debating feminism. We never even got to it.
Well, this would
Do
be
you-
a key component to this, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she might be right here. I mean, he hasn't made any really solid. He's made good points, but he hasn't really made any really solid solution to the problem that's at hand. Which, without the solution, I don't think it's gonna do anything. I don't think it's gonna change much. But I mean, he had good points. She had good points, but I don't think that he won this.
But I'm actually fine with this if you want to move it on to that. But
I
here's
mean,
the thing:
if you
you
wanna
never
keep
made
doing
a
it, we
single
can.
argument.
The argument is that people should be legislatively represented and allowed to vote.
Yeah,
in a
that's an
representative
assertion.
Democracy.
That's just an assertion, not an argument. That's just like, I think so.
The argument is if people are impacted by the laws that
Okay.
legislators create, then they should have a say in who those legislators are.
Yeah, but
whether it's a small say,
but that's a
okay.
performative contradiction because you said that people who are affected by laws who A, don't live here, or B, are younger than a certain threshold should be
It's not a
disenfranchised.
performative contradiction. It's the point of democracy.
No, it's
is
listen.
that we should be represented by a representative
I
government.
need you to understand this logically. That you're performing a
It doesn't make
contradiction.
sense logically because it's a logical fallacy. You were arguing a logical
Yeah,
fallacy.
no, what's
Just quit, man. I mean, it makes no sense, Andrew. Like, come on, man. Like, it's what she's saying is obvious. Like, if you are affected by the laws, you should have a say. I mean, you could keep using exclusive. Oh, well, 16-year-olds are affected. Come on, man. You're just arguing in bad faith at this point.
The fallacy.
The fallacy is that you're trying to essentially stop stupid people from voting by
That's
making
not
sure
a
that less
fallacy.
people
That's
can
not a
vote.
logical fallacy.
Well, you didn't let me finish the sentence.
Okay.
You're trying to stop stupid people from voting by making it so that less people can vote, which is in turn taking away the power of the voter.
What's the fallacy?
Well, you're trying to empower voters by taking away voters'
Yeah, how
power.
is that a
That's
logical fallacy?
You can't empower voters by taking away their power.
How am I trying to empower voters? What are you
I thought the whole
talking
point
about?
is that you're trying to combat tribalism and that you want smart people's votes to
What
not
does that
be
have to do with
nullified by
empowering
stupid
voters?
I thought that's why you're against NGOs, lobbyists, bribes. You want to empower the people.
I don't know what you're talking
So
about.
you just don't want the country.
I don't even
to
know
be
what you're talking
represented?
about. What I'm saying
Ooh,
to
he's
you is
getting
that if you want to
grumpy.
eliminate tribalism, you don't want to have nothing but an unlimited amount of people voting where NGOs can mark to the stupid people and bend them to their will and now have that entire bracket for whatever it is their political agendas are.
So again, why not just get rid of NGOs? Why is, oh my God, NGOs are a problem.
Would you
Let's
like
make
to-
sure less people can vote.
Gee, I never thought of that. Why don't we get rid of NGOs, the people who are utilizing tribalism so that they exist? Boy, I wish I had thought of that.
You're utilizing tribalism?
No, they're utilizing tribalism so they exist.
Okay, but you're a political pundit. You have the power to help people. Why not promote a stance that is actually useful to them instead of trying to take away their vote?
Great. A stance that would be actually useful to them would be having their well-informed votes not nullified by non-well-informed voters of what you believe and I believe are more than the well-informed voters. That's exactly something I can do to help everybody.
Well, I think in the end of this video, it's like, what are you really going to change, man? You know, I would love change. I love it all. But, like, the way he's going about it, I don't think it's going to help anything. I think she's mostly right because she's just, like, saying what reality is, you know, like, go after this corporation or, like, go after the corruption or you just, nothing's going to work. I mean, you could go after and try to get better informed votes, but that's not going to stop the issues with voting, which is that these companies have large stakes and a lot of bias in these things. You sitting here making military programs, they already have military programs. They already have these things. I mean, yeah, sure, we don't want leftists and crazy women who just want to have abortions to, like, affect votes, but you haven't really posed any, like, alternative that's anywhere in reality. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I much appreciate it. Comment me the things I could do better. Thank you.